All right, so Michael Moore, as you all know, he has a phenomenal track record in recent years of predicting stuff well, right? He predicted Trump's win in 2016. He predicted Biden's win in 2020. When everybody and their mother was saying it's going to be a red wave in 2022, he said, wrong, no, it's not. He was right about everything. He was just right about everything. So honestly, it doesn't even matter if you like him, dislike him, whatever. That doesn't matter. What matters is the facts. What matters is his track record. And it's objectively, empirically proven that he knows what the fuck he's talking about. So he comes out after the debate and he writes the following. We are asking the wrong question about Joe Biden on this 4th of July. To paraphrase the old Richard Pryor joke, who are you going to believe, me or your own lying eyes? Since the presidential debate last week, the leaders of the Democratic Party, in full 5-alarm fire mode, want us to believe we didn't see what we saw. Quote, it was just a cold. Everybody has an off night. Okay, so it wasn't his best performance. All presidents have one bad debate. You're not going to judge 52 years of public service by 90 minutes of a lousy debate, are you? He's 81. What do you expect? You'll be 81 someday. He's not a quitter. He's all in. This is Scranton Joe we're talking about. Yeah, sure, the debate was a disaster. So what? These answers are all malarkey. That's probably because we are asking the wrong question when we ask, what are we going to do about Joe? Maybe we should be asking, what are we going to do about ourselves? And what can we do to get him some help? Perhaps we should start with a definition of terms. Why do people keep calling it a debate? Isn't that kind of like saying Israel is at war with Hamas? After all, if it's a war, don't there have to be like things like armies, tanks, fighter jets, aircraft carriers, and the threat of nuclear annihilation on both sides? If only one side has all these things and the other side has none of them, is it really a war? Was it really a debate? If one of the debaters is so mentally and physically incapacitated that he cannot complete a sentence, randomly flips between discussing abortion, the 3 trimesters of pregnancy, and how great his golf game is, then looking around, unable to find one of the 4 cameras pointing at him, he suddenly turns his head all the way to the left as if he were looking for Rhode Island, and then out of nowhere raises his voice and shouts, "We finally beat Medicare." Not Ohio State, but Medicare. We saw and we heard all of that, no matter what the party hacks keep telling us. It was heartbreaking. It was truly, without equivocation, unlike anything any of us have ever seen. No matter where you stood on the Joe Biden scale, from Joe the working class hero to Joe the banker of Palestinian ethnic cleansing, one thing was certain. This was not a cold. This was a human being in utter collapse. Not just political collapse or performance collapse, but rather a full frontal lobe meltdown, where at any moment you had to wonder, was it possible that the sweet and fragile existence we call life was about to short circuit, or worse, lose power to Trump, and that no amount of shouting stat or cutting quickly to a commercial break was going to restore the president come patient to full capacity in order to save this even more fragile democracy. He continues here. This part I find very interesting. He says, do not mistake my criticisms of Biden spending 9 months in the loving embrace of Bibi Netanyahu as meaning that I do not deeply appreciate his 3 years of being the most progressive president of my lifetime. That's right, my friends. There has been more action taken through executive orders and legislation to protect the environment, more government officials appointed who are, in their heart of hearts, democratic socialists, more serious funding to lift millions out of poverty, more support for labor unions, libraries, single mothers, and college students deep in debt. And he has had this fervent, almost religious zeal to fight greed and obscene profits due to a true compassion he has for those dealt a bad hand in life. And he has had more of all of that than all the good presidents like Kennedy, Obama, and Carter were able to muster. He will have another mini stroke in the next few months. He's probably had 1 or 2 already. And then sadly, the decline will not be reversed. Best to make a plan now and not wait until October. This is not about whether he's fit to serve another 4 years. This is about whether he should serve another 4 days in the toughest job in the world. That's the question we should be asking. If he offered to drive you from Flint to Detroit tonight, would you get in the car? So, look, we don't need to continue here. You could go read the whole thing if you like. But this is him saying, nah, man, this is beyond debate. This is beyond discussion. This is wild. I can't believe we're witnessing this. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. And with him saying that, honestly gives me a lot of pause, too. It makes me feel like, oh, fuck. Everybody really is up shit's creek without a paddle here. Because, again, his track record has been so spot on with all of his predictions, and it sounds like he's saying he's got no chance of winning. None. And that's interesting, because I was still of the Nate Silver opinion. Nate Silver released his whole, his breakdown, his model, and he says that as of right now, it's like 70-30, 70% chance Trump wins, 30% chance if Biden stays in that he wins. A lot of people seem to think Nate's massively overestimating Biden's numbers. I kind of agree with Nate on that. Doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility that the hatred for Trump is so strong that there's enough people who are willing to vote for a dead man just to keep Trump out. I think that's in the realm of possibility. But when you have Michael Moore coming out and saying, come on, man, what are we doing here? That should give everybody pause, because he has been one of the most prescient of our times. And I know that in his heart of hearts, he's all about, we just got to beat Trump. I know he believes that. He's also been very outspoken on the genocide in Gaza, and a lot of credit to him, because not many official voices, not many mainstream voices are willing to do that. But he's throwing in the towel. He's thrown in the towel. So take that for what it's worth. But here you have somebody who was a pretty big Biden ally, and that's why I read that part for you about him defending his record prior to the genocide, because I agree with that analysis. There's plenty of things you could point to prior to the genocide that are like, hey, not bad, best of my lifetime for sure. But now that all goes down the drain, not only with the genocide, but now your narcissism and selfishness is bringing us to a place where you're very likely to hand the country back over to Trump. That's just unacceptable. All right, guys, that's the show. I love y'all very much. Everybody do me a big favor. Please like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. You can support the channel on Patreon. That's below, or tip on YouTube. Remember, I don't talk to any advertisers, so you guys fund this show from the ground up. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm happy to be back in studio. Be back here tomorrow. Peace. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.